Welcome to the webinar briefing for the Tenfold NetZero Accelerator program. My name is Ben Attle, and I'm an Innovation Delivery Manager here at Digital Catapult and the host for today's webinar for the Tenfold NetZero Accelerator program. Over today, we'll learn more about the program, how you're able to apply it, as well as the different benefits. We'll also hear from each of the industry partners, AgriSearch, Dell Farm, and Encirc, for their particular challenges. Prior to getting started, we would like to remind you that this webinar is being recorded and will be made available on our YouTube channel over the coming days. If you have any questions, please do drop this in the Q&A box during the webinar, and also feel free to direct this to benjamin.attle at digicatapult.org.uk if you have any questions, and we'll try to respond as soon as possible. This webinar has been brought to you by Digital Catapult, and before I run through the agenda, just a few words on who we are as an organization. So Digital Catapult is the UK authority on advanced digital technologies. We're part of the wider Catapult network, and our mission is to accelerate the adoption of advanced technologies, spurring growth in the UK economy. We do this in a variety of ways, delivering specialized acceleration and innovation programs, also building and testing new things, be that facilities, proof of concepts, or new business models. We also inform policy and conduct research on emerging technology trends. We work with a variety of different actors across the technology ecosystem in the UK, be this government, the public sector, startups and scale-ups, corporates, and also investors. For today, really the aim is to hear more about the Tenfold NetZero Accelerator open call, to hear from the industry challenge owners themselves, and to clarify your questions and any next steps for the program. We'll start by an introduction to the Tenfold NetZero Accelerator. Then we'll hear from AgriSearch, Dell Farm, and Encirc, respectively, before we open up to your questions near the end. Any question is acceptable. Just please drop this in the Q&A box, and we'll turn to that during that Q&A section. So to start with, what is the Tenfold NetZero Accelerator program? This has been brought to you by Digital Catapult alongside the Department for Rural Affairs, for the Environment and Rural Affairs, so DERA. We will support 3 of Northern Ireland's leading agricultural and manufacturing organisation as challenge owners. This program has been designed to solve some of the toughest industrial challenges that is inhibiting the drive to net zero, and it will work in collaboration with the UK's leading technology ecosystem. So for the technology solution providers that will onboard onto the program, there's an expectation to build a proof of concept against one of the 3 challenges you'll hear from today. This will be across a 12-week period and leveraging kind of the appropriate digital technologies in building this proof of concepts. For the timeline, you'll see there are these 5 stages, and we're in this open call stage right now. We began by working with the industry challenge owners to prioritize the business challenges for this particular program. And then on April 4th, we opened the open call to technology solution providers, yourself, that will close on May 12th, midnight. Once this is done, we'll shortlist the top applications and take this through to a pitch with the ICOs. We then go through a period of contracting, and then finally we'll begin this proof of concepts development stage, where you'll have that 12-week period to build a proof of concept against one of these challenges that we have identified. There'll be an opportunity to present your proof of concepts at a wider showcase hosted in Northern Ireland around late October, early November time. But that's the layout of our program that we're presenting. In terms of who you'll meet from Digital Catapult, this will be myself, Adam Wallace, Angela Lee, as well as Emin Ogur, who will be supporting your proof of concept development. And this is one of the many benefits that you can expect to receive. Others being an opportunity to be a part of DERA's inaugural accelerator program. You'll receive £20,000 awarded in commercial funding to support the proof of concept builds. You'll work closely with a high-profile challenge owner in DERA's remit that you'll hear from later today, as well as that opportunity to present your proof of concept at a wider showcase event. We're now going to turn over to the different challenge owners and give them a bit of time to present to you their organization as well as their particular challenge. Firstly, I would like to invite Jason Rankin to turn on their camera. And Jason, over to you to present.
Thank you, Ben, and it's a great pleasure to be presenting here today on our particular project for the Digital Catapult Tenfold project. So if you want to go on to the next slide, Ben, just a quick introduction to what is AgriSearch. More formally, we are the Northern Ireland Agricultural Research and Development Council. We're a registered charity and a company limited by guarantee. We're core-funded by levies collected on our behalf by dairy and red meat processors, and our purpose is to help make the Northern Ireland ruminant livestock sector more competitive, profitable and sustainable through research and innovation. Next slide, please. So we were founded in 1997, over 25 years ago. We are originally a backseat co-founder, just used money to commission projects, but then we now take a much more active role in research and innovation on farm. We're particularly focused on delivering the last mile from research that's been done at research institutes to actually adopting that on commercial farms. And to that end, we've become pioneers on-farm research. We have 70 plus farmers involved in our GrassCheck and Beacon farm networks. And we have a very strong emphasis on knowledge exchange, holding events such as webinars, farm walks, podcasts, obviously as well as using things like press releases and social media as well to communicate to the farmer, because research is no use if it just sits at a report on a shelf. It's about delivering that to our levy payers, the end farmer. Next slide, please. So what is the challenge we are addressing here? Organic manures, which come mostly in the form of slurry, but also to a lesser extent farmyard manures, are a very valuable source of nutrients for grass and production. They include nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which all plants need, grass and crops, to grow. So when they're used correctly, they can increase grass and crop production, and they can also then help offset and minimize the amount of manufactured fertilizers that a farmer buys in. Those have increased in price considerably in recent years, and if you look at where phosphorus and potash is coming from in the world, it comes from a lot of the very unstable regions of the world, and there are finite supplies of it. However, if you apply them incorrectly, you can get nutrient overload, which can then result in losses to the environment, affecting water quality. And if you've followed the news last year, will be aware, for example, in Northern Ireland, we have a particular issue with our Loch Ness, which is the biggest lake in the British Isles, with algal blooms and so on. So it's really important that we use them as possible. One of the challenges we have with farms in Northern Ireland is that they tend to be fragmented, land blocks all over the place. And the temptation is that land close to the yard is used for grazing, and further away is used for silage. But the temptation is also to apply those manures too close to land for handiness. In reality, you want to be applying your manures to the ground used for silage, because you haven't got the natural deposition of organic manures back on that. But often, if that land is further away, do I really want to send the tanker 2 miles down the road to that block of land and about and do it? There is also mounting pressure on Northern Ireland farmers to improve water and air quality and lower their carbon footprint, and good nutrient management has a role in all of that. So next slide, please. Now, how do we address these issues? Well, DERA, the Government Department for Agriculture and Environment in Northern Ireland, are spending 45 million over the next 4 years. In fact, we're about 2 years into this now, on soil sampling and LiDAR of every field in Northern Ireland. And this has had a really good uptake, around a 95% uptake. And that gives us a lot of data. That will give farmers data on pH, Ps, Ks, organic matter, and so on for the soil. But that's just data. How do we turn that data into something that can be easily interpreted by the farmer? Now, there are nutrient management planning tools available, but they tend to be dated. They're quite cumbersome. They're quite labor intensive, going through every field on your farm and saying what you're doing with it and so on. And really, can we provide a simple a simple entry level tool which all farmers could easily use, either accessible by a printed map for maybe the older farmers who aren't tech savvy, or by the younger farmers in the form of a smartphone application? And that's really what we're looking at in this challenge. So next slide, please. So the aim is to use data visualizations tools which will help drive behavioral change amongst farmers towards improving their use of organic manures, leading to positive economic and environmental outcomes in Northern Ireland. And how can we easily present that information to the farmer in such a way, as to where they can effectively apply organic manure, deliver economic benefits, and wider sustainability. So if we had a map and we said, listen, by going to that faraway block, it's going to pay for your red diesel or the additional contractor cost to get it out there, because it's worth so many pounds more by taking it there where it's really needed, and it will save in terms of buying in compound fertilizer, and so on. And actually encouraging farmers to apply slurry where it's really needed and not just where it's handy. So it's a very simple visual tool, either in printed form or even better on a smartphone application, where you can actually look to see very easily and very readily where that can be applied, because farmers by their nature are very busy people, and you want to give this data to them in a really easy way. And obviously then, can we look at very simple recording mechanisms again, which could be done when you're doing it on the phone, rather than expecting the farmer to turn on a laptop and he comes back in at night, which really isn't just going to happen. So this is really just about data visualization and data presentation of those tools. And I think that's it, very simply explained for me, and we can take any questions later on. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Jason. A really exciting challenge there. So next up, we're going to hear from Laura Hook, new product development manager at Dale Farm, who will have roughly 10 minutes to present on their challenge. Laura, can you come on screen, please?
Great. Thank you, Ben. Yes, my name is Laura Hook. So I'm part of the development team here at Dale Farm, and we also coordinate the funding opportunities within the group. So I'm here to present who Dale Farm are and our challenge. So if you can go to the next slide, please, Ben. Okay, so Dale Farm is the largest UK dairy cooperative. We are owned by 1,300 farmers across Northern Ireland, England and Scotland. And we're very proud to be a cooperative. Okay, Dale Farm's purpose is to process all of our members' milk while adding the value to our farmers' milk, to also provide a competitive milk price, as well as enabling investment and innovation to secure the long-term sustainability of the cooperative. Yeah, so we employ over 1,000 people at 8 locations across the UK. So we have 5 manufacturing sites where we produce retail products, and we also have 2 sites manufacturing animal feed, part of the group, which is called United Feeds. So as you can see here, Dale Farm offers a diverse and quality range of products in the retail, food service, food ingredient and agri-food markets. So moving on to our challenge. Currently, Dale Farm is struggling to gather quality data that can be drawn down in a real-time manner to give quantitative information that will provide a realistic picture of what is happening on our farms. Deal Farm is in a transition and discovery phase where the information is critical to improving production efficiencies on farm and drive new knowledge into the business. Therefore, the business challenge is specifically to monitor feed usage on farm to ultimately understand what the herd consumes and to correlate this with the milk output. So this will generate the feed rate per litre on an ongoing basis and drive on-farm efficiencies. So we're looking at this project now due to the increasing feed costs that have created a greater emphasis on the farmer, and Deal Farm is also switching from a volume focus to be more efficient. And there also is a huge amount of environmental policies which are accelerating. So Deal Farm, as I've said, is approximately 1,300 individual farms. Within these farms, there could be 4 or 5 different feeding systems and data gathering levels at present. The problem becomes most apparent on farms with older milking systems and smaller farms, which make up approximately 15% of the cooperative, and also farms where the farmer has a lower level of IT literacy. Implementation of this solution would probably include infrastructure, including sensors and other equipment of industrial grade, and also remote connectivity to report data metrics will be required. So the data that we get from this solution would need to be made available in a format which can be easily integrated into Deal Farm's existing data systems and allow us to analyse the data, and also via a platform which would be used by individual farms to allow them to make decisions in terms of feed efficiency. So you can move to the next slide, Ben. Great. So in terms of Deal Farm support, you can see here that we are a vertically integrated supply chain. We are within the group, we have control over each part of the supply chain, including the animal feed side. So we have 2 sites manufacturing animal feed as part of the group. They are called United Feeds. And 50% of our farmers buy from United Feeds. This could be utilised in conjunction with this project. So for example, different rations of feed will have different density, and we can work with United Feeds to review this and to understand, for example, flow rate versus weight ratio. Yeah, so in terms of sustainability ambitions, feed is one of the biggest costs to the farmer and increasing, and it contributes up to 10% of emissions on farm. So understanding feed usage would improve resource consumption and efficiency challenges. Deal Farm is committed to participating in the Science Based Targets initiative, and we have signed up to have provided data to get baseline positions. So this was a one-off farm survey from 2022 calendar year data, and there is now a need to provide ongoing data, and the solution to this challenge would be part of that. So this Science-Based Targets initiative requires us to determine actions required by Deal Farm to play a part in limiting global warming by 1.5%. Our Deal Farm commitment, which will be submitted for review by the SBTi later this year, is to reduce greenhouse gas footprint of our milk by 31% from 2020 to 2030. Each farming system and each farm is different. It's thought that concentrated feeds represent around 10% of emissions of a dairy farm. By fully understanding feeding rates, decisions can therefore be made to optimise efficiency of feeding. This will drive down the carbon footprint of the milk, improve farm profitability, and have other environmental benefits, such as reducing the phosphate loading of the land and improve water quality in Northern Ireland. And that's it for me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Laura. I hope this really does show kind of the diversity of challenges that we're presenting as part of the Tenfold Net Zero Accelerator program. It all broadly is within that agriculture and manufacturing within DERA's remit, but there's a variety of different challenges that all contribute towards those net zero ambitions. Thank you so much, Laura. And now I'm very grateful to be able to present our final challenge that was going to be presented by Richard Curry from Encirc. Richard, could you come on to camera for me, please?
Hello, is this working? Sorry.
That's perfect. Over to you, Richard. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Ben. So just to give you a little background about the Encirc Group. The Encirc Group was originally founded in 1998 by the Quinn Group. It then was we then purchased the Elton site in 2007, which is our one of the largest glass container factories in the world. In 2014, Encirc was formed from the breakup of the Quinn Group. In 2015, the year after that, we were bought over by the Italian glass manufacturer, the Vidrala Group. In 2021, to give you a bit of background into our results, our trials into recycled glass, we trialed a 100% biofuel furnace in Derlin, which was using a 100% recycled glass. I suppose, Ben, if you want to skip to the next slide. So as I said, we have three sites. We have one here in Derlin and Fermanagh. We have one in Elton, close to Liverpool, and one in Bristol. The two sites in Derlin and Elton both produce container glass. The Elton site and the Bristol site also have another offering, which they offer a complete 360 package where we produce the glass and also fill the glass bottles for our customers. In 2023, as I mentioned, the Encirc purchased the Park, the leading bottle and filling provider in the UK. So currently we employ just over 2,000 employees. We're producing over 100,000 tons of glass per year, and we're using just over 365 meters cube or million liters of water per week. So we want to skip to the next slide, Ben. So what does Encirc offer? We offer a complete 360 package to our customers. So I think if you keep skipping through that, Ben, the slides. So what does that entail? It entails inbound logistics. So wine and carbonated beverages are shipped to Encirc in containers via road, rail, and sea. The beverages are transported into storage vessels on arrival. This process significantly has reduced our CO2 and is an efficient way of getting the beverages to site. So as I mentioned, we are a massive glass container producer. So we're leading technology in the bottle making process. So this entails melting, gob distribution, container forming, annealing, cold end coating, and inspection. We also process, so Encirc processes all of its beverages, making sure they are all fit for purpose. This includes mixing ingredients, cutting and checking, and quality before the beverages are filled. We offer a bottling solution, so beverages are taken into a closed loop system to be filled in one of our Encirc's automated high-speed lines, as well as labeling and packaging. We have our own warehousing and added value. So packed beverages are then stored in Encirc's automated bonded warehouse, ready for the customer. Encirc can supply customer requirements, including case picking and value-added activities. So with this integrated supply chain, hauliers will collect the filled product and deliver full loads of consolidated loads or store-ready pallets to retail. The load can be bespoke as per the customer's request. So we're filling wine for producers in Australia. Basically what this is saying, that the producers in Australia are bulk shipping the wine in bulk containers over to our facility in Elton. we then offer the full package where we make the glass bottles for them, we fill them, we label them, we package them, and then we actually store them and in the end send them out to their end product customers. So next slide, Ben. So Encirc has a bold mission to have zero carbon emissions by 2030. And to do this, we need to look across all of our different processes and offerings that we do. So this comes from our 360 process, our manufacturing of containers, our filling halls and filled beverages, and our store and distribution beverages. Next slide, Ben. So my part is, if you click on Ben, are to achieve this 0-30 emissions on our manufacture of glass containers. We have a unique problem or a unique solution that we need. We produce what we call Malacca glass, and one of these glass containers is predominantly Bailey's products. But because of the unique makeup of the glass and the glass transmission rate, we struggle to see internal defects within the bottles. So the glass has to be so dark in order to keep the products fresh. So this, as a result, it mentions with issues with defects in the bottles. This means that we have a higher number of manual checks and higher rework, which amounts to wasted furnace energy. Defects take longer to detect and correct. So if you skip on to the next slide, Ben. So this is an example of one of our vision inspection systems with a Malacca glass bottle on the very left-hand side and a flint or clear glass bottle on the right-hand side. So as you can see, the two images that we get from the machines are quite different. And with the Malacca glass, it's very difficult to see internal defects. So as part of this Tenfold project, and in order to help reduce our carbon footprint, we have future plans with Malacca glass, which include lightweighting of bottles, which entails reducing the amount of material made, or the bottles are made from. With this reduction in glass, means the increased likelihood or increased possibility of defects within the glass, and the possibility that the glass transmission rate will have to increase to keep that transmission of light away from the product within. So as part of this Tenfold, we're reaching out to a solution provider to help improve our inspection capabilities with the ultimate goal of reducing our wasted energy from defective bottles and being able to pick up those defective bottles quicker within the production process. I think that's it, Ben.
Amazing, Richard. Thank you so much. So that quickly brings us off to the end of the scheduled presentation. So now we'll move over to the Q&A portion of this webinar briefing. Can I invite all of the speakers to turn on their cameras as well? And I'd also like to invite Gary from Farm and also Emin Ogur from Digital Catapult, our internal technologists for this program as well. Welcome, everyone. So I see a number of different questions in the chat box, but I just wanted to start this off with hearing from each of the challenge owners in turn, maybe starting with AgriSearch, then going to Farm, and then finally Encirc. Could you just reiterate kind of how have you previously, if you had previously tried to solve this challenge before, and why is it especially important now? I know we all touched upon sustainability ambitions, but it'd be great if we could reinforce why now. Jason, I'll start with you there.
I suppose, yes, in terms of have we addressed this challenge before? I mean, this has been, I suppose, ongoing for some time. in terms of improving nutrient management. There have been various initiatives by the department, by our advisory services, and so on. But I mean, in terms of really the challenge still remains how you present that to a farmer in a simple, easy to use format, and for that uptake. So really, the nutrient management planning is nothing new. This basic science, this basic technology has been around for a long time, but it's actually about communicating that in a way to the farmer that is meaningful, and will get adoption results. And I think this has become particularly into focus because of ongoing water quality issues we have in Northern Ireland, and also the need to reduce fertilizer in order to drive down carbon emissions. You heard Dale Farm there say that they have a 30% target over the next few years. Most of the other agricultural processors who are farmer supply have similar targets. So these are very real pressures that the farmers need to implement. And really, what it is, it's one thing knowing the solution, it's another thing actually getting that behavioral change. And it's the same even with the Dale Farm application. They've got, that there's nothing new on benchmarking milk from forest milk for concentrates, but it's how you roll that out to a wider group of farmers. And that's the key challenge that I think both Dale Farm and ourselves have.
Laura, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, from our perspective, I guess it has become more of a focus now because of the sustainability targets, as Jason has said, and also because of the price of the feed. So the cost of feed is increasing. It's one of the farmers' biggest outgoings, so we have to work with them on that. We haven't hasn't been solved before. I think some companies are linking directly with feed providers to better monitor feed used. But in terms of Dale Farm farmers, they have a vast range of different feeding systems, which can be used across farms. So it's hard to get a streamlined solution. And also we are now more focused on efficiencies rather than just volume, given the sustainability pressures there. And we're also just accelerating our environmental policies to work within that. So that's why we're focused on it now.
Thank you so much. And Richard?
Yes, obviously from a glass manufacturer point of view, we're a massive energy usage within the sector, and with our mission of ZE30, every little piece or every little step in the project that we can take to reduce waste as much as possible will get us closer to that target. As for how we've tried to solve this issue before, we originally bought machinery that was to a certain specification, i.e. it was a certain glass transmission, but because of customer demands and changes to bottle design and lightweighting, the glass transmission has had to reduce, and the bottles have got lighter, and hence the glass has got darker. So our current machinery that we have isn't capable of seeing within that bottle.
Amazing, thank you. And I'd like to remind everyone watching that this really is a really good chance to ask questions directly to the challenge owners as part of this process. So thank you for all the questions that have been submitted already. Keep sending them through. We have a question for Dale Farm, and that's to better understand what equipment is currently being used on site to handle feed. I can probably address this to Laura and Gary.
Yeah, I think I might pass this to Gary. Gary, if you've got more knowledge of the on-farm situation.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Yes, look, I think as probably Laura and Jason said, there is a range, a whole myriad, I suppose, of different options on farms. But largely on most farms now, and certainly on most modern farms, we would have a scenario where the feed concentrate is generally held within what we would refer to as a bin, ultimately a large tar silo, with an output coming from that. So I suppose it's things like sensors, it's things like flow meters, potentially weights. That would be the key measures and the key metrics we would envisage in terms of trying to determine that feed usage. We obviously need something that's robust. Bear in mind, this is a farm situation. It needs to be cost effective and easy to install. And there would be good support available, I suppose, right across the Dale Farm Group. And Laura mentioned there United Feeds, who have their own feed mill and supply feed as well. So they have quite a lot of expertise in this area as well. And we would have good on-farm support right across our co-op. So, yep, happy to take any further questions on it.
Amazing. The next question I think is related is the one that speaks to what happens if the proof of concept is satisfactory. This is initially directed to Dale Farm, but I'll subsequently ask the rest of the panelists as well. But it speaks to, if the proof of concept is satisfactory, are you likely to roll it out to other sites, farms in your group, and then also to be rolled out over time? I'll first address this to Dale Farm, and then we'll touch on AgriSearch, and then Encirc about, if the proof of concept is satisfactory, could we expect further work? Laura.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Yeah, so if the proof of concept is seen to be successful and it is proved to be useful on farm, and we are getting the data that we require and it's working for the farmers, feedback is good, then we would look into that. Of course, I think it would be correlated to our targets and everything that we are progressing with. So we would want to depending on all them things, we would look to progress, yes.
Thank you. And Jason, if the proof of concept is satisfactory, can you expect further work there?
Yes, I think it's a good. I think if we've got a good, successful, and a good viable proof of concept, I think there is every chance to do that. It probably wouldn't be solely through ourselves, but we have close relationships with CAFRE and DERA, who have their own, who kind of have the master current soil nutrient management tool. As I said, it's good, but it's cumbersome and it's difficult. And they are very interested in monitoring what we'll be doing in this project. So I don't think AgriSearch alone would take it forward. We wouldn't have quite the resources. But I think with others in the industry, we would jointly look to try and see about the options around pushing that forward. So yes, certainly we would like to see, if this is successful, that it's rolled out. It would probably solely be through us, but it might be through our larger consortium.
So, thank you, Jason. And Richard, same question.
Yeah, same for all the other guys have just mentioned. This is just one small solution that we're looking for within a larger project. So there's obviously a lot of other customers that we supply products to, and we have a lot of custom inspection capabilities that we are looking to solve. So there's always potential for other work in the digital sector, especially because that's where the bulk of our inspection capabilities are.
Fantastic, thank you. We're still receiving questions. Thank you everyone for your answers. There's a question that I wanted to direct back to you, Richard, around the challenges in terms of X-ray, the use of X-rays in this particular challenge. Could you talk more about the challenges that you experienced with this particular application, please?
Yes, currently we're just using light and camera modules. We had looked into X-ray, but because of the bottle speeds, we couldn't find, at the time, machinery that was capable of continuous inspection at around 180 to 200 bottles per minute. So we have looked at that in the past. There was also the concern, I wasn't actually with Encirc at the time, but there was the concern around the use of mass X-ray and having production operators in the close vicinity of such machinery.
Thank you. There's still time for probably 5 to 10 minutes worth of questions before we move on. So please, if you do have more questions, please put them into the chat. A question for Jason, AgriSearch. In Northern Ireland, would you expect this to be targeted at farmers, or do a lot of livestock farms have advisors who influence these sort of decisions and deal with the paperwork? Jason.
There are advisors, but they don't tend to go into that level of detail. Most of the advice in Northern Ireland Farms is provided through CAFRE, which is we still have a kind of a state advisory service as such in Northern Ireland. There are other advisors, obviously through feed companies and fertilizer and so on, but it tends to be more generic. And really, at the end of the day, you still need something that a farmer can whip out on his phone, look at very quickly, and so on. And and look at it on the day he is going to spread slurry, because yes, it's fine giving a farmer a big, lovely plan, nutrient management plan, but if it's complex and it sits in a drawer, it's no use. He needs something that's really visual, really accessible. He can go to, right, that's where I'm going today with that.
Amazing. Thank you. A question I wanted to pose to all of the panelists whilst we have time is the support that technology solution providers could expect from each of the respective challenge owners if they were selected for their challenge. I'll pose it to Jason, then Laura from Dell Farm, and then finally Richard. Over the course of that proof of concept build phase, there'll be support from Digital Catapult's team, but also support from the industry partner. If you could talk a bit more about kind of your inclination to support the technology solution providers, I think that would be really helpful. Jason, if you would want to go first.
Yeah, absolutely. We realise this is, a fairly technical aspect, and not all those bidding may have a good grasp of this. So, I mean, we would sit with you and give you, that kind of introductory explanation of around soil nutrients. We have a network of beacon farms, so the idea is we would try and look to get data from a handful of farms in a format which you can then use and work with you through on that to explain the data. There are risk maps and things like that to do that. So we would kind of we would provide you with some sample data, give you a breaking background in that. And I mean, again, our colleagues at CAFRE have also offered to help guide and be involved in that kind of process. So we have wider stakeholders we can call, but we'll definitely very much kind of work through with you on that process to explain the issues and the data available and how it could be used.
Yeah, from a Deal Farm point of view, yeah, we're the same. We can provide, on-farm support, farm trials, and we can also, obviously, with our partnership with United Feeds as part of our group, we can provide any knowledge there and any trials that need to be done there, etc. And also within Deal Farm, team members within the agri team and also our BI team, our business intelligence team, to understand the data that will be required and how to incorporate that into our current systems. There can be help provided there as well.
And Richard, if you just want to comment.
Yeah, from Encirc's point of view, it's pretty much the same as everybody else. So we have a team of subject matter experts on site who, if the applicants are successful, they can come on site, see our machinery. We also have close links with the manufacturer suppliers, and they have given us the go ahead that they will share some of their proprietary technology and coding to their machinery in order for a solution to be integrated within their machinery.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. We have a lot of different questions that goes into each of the different challenges in general. We're recording all the questions, so we'll endeavour to get back to everyone after this webinar for those particular questions that you ask. If there's any more questions generally about understanding the challenge, what supports you could expect from the challenge owners, please do put them into the chat now. If not, we can progress onto next steps. But yeah, please do put down any questions you have in terms of the wider challenges in general. Right. Okay, failing that quickly, Richard, there's a question about the a follow-on from the X-ray question. Are you aiming for 100% coverage for inspection or sample-based quickly?
Currently, it's 100% inspection on every single product that we pass through the line. We do have some offline checks. I suppose the first step for us would be to find a solution, and if that solution was an offline solution, but with a view to then potentially taking it online in the future.
Fantastic. Thank you, Richard. Quickly, there's a question around, is there a single challenge award per provider or will there be multiple selected? So there's one challenge per industry partner. You're able to apply to multiple challenges if you feel like you meet the brief of multiple challenges. Ultimately, you'll only be accepted to work on one challenge. We view this so you can focus particularly on one challenge, but you're able to bid into multiple challenges if you'd be inclined to. In terms of what contribution of the hardware costs of the POC will Dale Farm bear or other industry partners, within the application form, we ask you to give a breakdown of the costs relating to this project. Feel free to put down what you believe would need to be go towards any kind of hardware relating to the proof of concept. All of the 20K would have to be attributed to the development of the proof of concepts in some way. If you want to specify particular allocations, do put this down in the financial breakdown as part of the application. But no, thank you to everyone who came on camera. If I could quickly ask you to turn off your cameras, and thank you very much for your contributions. Thank you. Right, we'll end this webinar by quickly turning to the next steps you can expect from this. This slide relates to the judging process that will operate. So this open call is live until May 12th. midnight. You can submit your application by visiting the Tenfold NetZero Challenge Accelerator webpage, where there'll be a link to submit your application. The latest point is May 12th. Of course, we encourage applications prior to this date, but you have until May 12th to submit. We'll conduct some diligence just to make sure that you're in line with the minimum requirements of this call. Then there'll be a week of shortlisting, where Digital Catapult will shortlist the top applications that then will be invited to a pitch with the industry challenge owners. Those pitches will take place as it stands the week commencing May 20th. So those pitches, if you are shortlisted, would be taking place the week commencing May 20th, and this will be 25-minute sessions. More information will be provided closer to the time on that. And final confirmation of successful applicants will be communicated at the end of that week as it stands. So quickly, in terms of next steps, please do submit an application via the Tenfold webpage. We ask you to maintain availability on the week commencing the 20th to pitch to the industry owners if you are shortlisted. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see times to keep available. So Encirc would be May 21st, the morning of. AgriSearch would be May 22nd, and finally Dale Farm, May 24th. Please, if you do have any more questions, feel free to direct this to myself at benjamin.attle@digicatapult.org.uk. We will make available some surgeries, one-to-one conversations, depending on the nature of the request. If you have other questions, please reach out via email, as I just said, or look to the FAQs provided as part of this program. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. Thank you to all the speakers that have come as well. And for us, that's all. This recording will be made available on YouTube in the coming days. Thank you, everyone.